which is traumatic. It ruptures the symbolic
Hi, Mum.
versus something more like a continuous low-level
Good, how are you?
reality. And the question is whether that
Sorry, can you hear me? Huh? Yeah. No, I'm at uni. Just with a friend Tim. Yeah. We do a podcast. It's like radio, but you talk on the radio, but it's not like radio. It's like, I don't know, I can't explain it to like old people. That's it. Let's talk. Is it talking?
It's already recording.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, was it recording my mum?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Ah. Okay.
Oh, actually, that mic's...
is that working? No.
It is.
Or is this one?
It's just a bit...
Oh, don't touch it?
Either don't touch it or swap to the other one.
No, I won't touch it. Do I touch it ever?
You touch it all the time. I have learnt to trust you. Well, not really, but, you know, I let you do your thing. And I'm suspicious at first, probably. Or I just don't know why you're doing them. But then when I actually see them, and like maybe it's like the accumulation of it or whatever, but there's a certain point where I'm like, oh, like there's magic in that.
Yeah.
There's something amazing in that. And I didn't recognize it at first. So I like letting you just go play in the dirt for a while and see what you come back with.
It's a weird thing. That's how I see it. Like I was like, what am I doing with this? This is a really weird thing. Like it's so lame. Like it's kind of lame, like clapping, like asking people to clap. It's like, you know?
Yeah.
But that awkwardness is what I really like watching people be really awkward. It's bizarre. It's
But then when they all start clapping together, it's sort of, remember the work that you did that was the all the anthems together on Anthem, right?
Yeah.
And the way that
we kind of did that. Like I was inspired by you, so you're
always inspired. Everything you do is inspired by me. But it is all the national anthems around the world played together, right? And what I found really interesting about that was the affect of it, which was that it becomes. I mean, it literally sounds like, you know, like a soundtrack to World War One. I don't know. Like in my head, all I could hear is like marching bands mixed with fucking warfare. It's like, wow. So actually, when you do turn the narrative off of any individual anthem, and the way you do that is by playing them all together, you actually get the truth of what a national anthem is, which is just patriotism and violence.
Totally. That's what when you said that, I was like, oh, can you write that down for me, right? But that's what it's about. Yeah. It's about World War One. It was not only about World War One. It's about technology and wars, right? But it's about the sound of that violence, which is what would you call that? Like imperialism, right? And it's the sound that comes with that. So the sound of progress is like an instrument. And what's really interesting was that every single country, even countries that you would think have some kind of like non-European based music, right? Like old Greek from my perspective, which is like these weird, you know, not 4x4 beats. And it's like, you know, folklorian Greek music is like really weird to listen to. It's almost like Arabic, or it's like it's got those Persian weaves and Indian weaves into it. So it's a weird offbeat. But yet their national anthem is like bon bon don 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 don. Like, yeah, fucking, where the fuck did that come from, right?
Yeah. Which is, I guess, why
what you just said.
When I heard, I'll put pause for excerpt. I'll put an excerpt in here now.
Just wanted everyone to note I ended this at 4 minutes 33 seconds, because I think it makes me look smart, but then I worried none of you cunts would notice, so I'm telling you now. I know that kind of spoils it, but I'd rather look smart than actually be smart.
But when I first heard it, I was like, oh, this sounds like a futurist work that you've made, right? That kind of cacophony of war that like Boccioni craps on about and Marinetti talks about, but obviously from a critical like perspective. But that's what they wanted, and you've kind of like played it back because so many of those national anthems were being developed at that time, you know.
Yeah.
Although Australia's was quite a lot later. Yeah, anyway, that just made me think that, which made me go on to say the clapping. What's really interesting about it is, as you just said, like the strange awkwardness, because you fucking got me to do one, but the strange awkwardness of you like imposing on your like friends and acquaintances to just clap in public, right? It's awkward, right? Because a clap by itself is an awkward gesture. It only like becomes something when lots of people do it together, right? It's affirming, and in fact, if only one person claps, it's a fucking problem, right? And so therefore, you every one of those videos contains this awkwardness. But what's interesting is that when you clap as a group, you obviously have the group aesthetic or the group acoustic that reinforces itself. And so, you know, like at a fucking concert or whatever, right? Yeah. Everyone claps, and it becomes just a known sound. But what's so interesting about yours is that sound of collective clapping is so different to the sound of like everyone clapping together, because it is everyone clapping together but individually. Yeah. And so it actually ends up sounding like a fucking moped engine or something.
Yeah, like that violence is in there. That's exactly what I was listening to. I was kind of inspired by John Cage's piece, which is a really lame thing to say, right? Like, I'm inspired by John Cage, right? That 433. But what's really interesting about that is there's that labor of listening to nothing, right? So I know like a lot of people have different like perspectives of that piece. You know, it's about like listening to yourself. For me, it's if I was in the audience. So I remember seeing it in London. It was on the BBC, and they played it just as a repeat. You know, like on a Sunday morning or something like that. But it was also televised. That's what I'm interested in, that televised version of recording something like that. Yeah. It takes labour to just sit there and look at nothing. Like it's your body really reacts to that. So you're forced to kind of listen to your thoughts. Yeah. Now, we do that anyway when we go to a performance, or if you're listening to this and we're boring at some point. Your head goes, what the fuck am I committed to this for? I'm interested in that. It's that gap, right? But what's really interesting about the John Cage piece, because everyone talks about, you can hear yourself coughing, or the other person coughing, or breathing, or you're trying to be silent because you're in the theatre. When John Cage is like, okay, 4 minutes 33, it's over, and he stands up, everyone starts to clap. Right? Yep. That's part of the piece. Yeah, of course. Is this fake applause. Yeah. Like, it's a fake applause. Come on. Yeah. Like, you're applauding yourself. There's nothing that you're applauding. Like, no. And that's where I'm interested in that clap. Applauding. Wow, applause. It's like, you know, applauded. I don't know. Exploded. It's this fake explosion.
But right? That's what I was going to say, right? Because the awkwardness is, in that piece, can no longer be performed because everyone knows what it is. But, like, originally, it is that thing of, like, the horror of not knowing when to clap. You know, and you know that if you've ever had the misfortune of sitting through a symphony, right? And you know those cunts that clap in between movements, not the cunts, the cunts that like turn around and admonish you for clapping in between movements. As though you're supposed to know beforehand that that's not the end of the piece. Yeah, despite the fact everyone stopped and paused. And so, like the reverse of that is the John Cage, which is like the only way that piece can end technically is the audience acknowledging its end, but in lieu of that, because the audience doesn't know how to do that, because it takes one person to awkwardly start clapping, it takes the gestures from the performer as the piece has finished. Right. And I remember the one performance that I did. The only part I enjoyed about it was like a half hour, 40-minute performance where I was playing. This is very fucking now. I was playing a pasta machine.
That's cool.
You know? Yeah. It was like squeaky. Anyway, whatever.
That's great. Were you actually making pasta or just the machine by itself?
I was shredding documents because
cool.
it turns out it's actually a really good shredder. If you ever need a shredder and a pinch, you can use a pasta maker.
What documents were you shredding?
I don't know. It was like around the time of the Iraq War. I don't know. I was doing some fucking political thing. Anyway, so I was shredding these documents, and there was some like machines playing and stuff. They kind of just stopped after whatever, and then both me and the other performer just refused to move, like to do anything to acknowledge that the performance had ended. That to me was such a beautiful moment, because then it was only at that point that I think people got awkward and they started kind of like, trying to work out what was happening. But what I loved was like people were in the end, no one clapped, because it was an hour performance, right? You rarely clap at an hour performance anyway. People just sort of awkwardly started leaving. But as though they were leaving in the middle of a performance. That very kind of thing of like, I don't want to interrupt whatever this is. It was like, it's finished. Yeah. Like it's done. Yeah. And I was just gloriously like bathing in this until my fellow performer said, "Oh, thanks everyone for coming." I'm like, "Why? Why did you say that?" And everyone's like, "Oh, thank fucking God."
Who was that? Who were you performing with?
Dale Gorfinkel, but he is an incredible human being. But he's just a nice human being, unlike me. And he's like, I'll put them out of their misery. Don't do it.
Did they, at that point when he acknowledged the end, people started clapping?
People started, no, but it was just like a palpable sense of relief. Right? Everyone's like, just like this exhalation, and then people just started talking and stuff. And it was like, I was like, I mean, it was nice. I guess it was the right thing to do, but I was like, that 10-minute pause, or it may have only been 5 minutes. It's like, this is actually what Cage meant in that original 4 minutes 33.
Yeah, exactly.
This is how he wanted like it to feel.
Yeah, uncomfortable, right? Yeah, like what do I do? Do I start moving? Am I allowed to leave? Am I going to offend that person?
Yeah.
So therefore I will, who's going to be the first?
Am I going to offend the person who's just been playing a fucking pasta maker for 40 minutes? It's like, dude, just leave. You should have left like 2 minutes in, man.
Exactly. Like how long does the body go, that's interesting for? Because like I would go, oh, that's fucking interesting. It's a pasta maker. And then you go through like waves, right? Like love, hate, anger, all that stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wish I'd thought of that. And this is fucking boring. And then you start going, I gotta go to the toilet. And then you go, oh, like, but he's hot. Oh, she's, like start looking at other people, looking at them, looking at you. And then that all disappears. That's 3 minutes into it. You've got another 39 minutes to go. Yeah. Right? It's like forced meditation, right?
Yeah.
And it's not good for you, forced meditation.
No, it's really not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for the 20 people that were in the room.
I love that. I'm the motherfucker that will start clapping. There was a goth march down Enmore Road 18 years ago. It used to happen every year. It was like, it was like their Halloween, their celebration day. And all these goths would go down the road, and there was a horse and cart and a coffin, fake thing. And it was a spectacle, right?
Yeah.
There was never cops blocking that. They just did it.
Yeah.
Why do goths get away with it?
Cops, come on. Cop the goth.
Like, come on. Like, why? What's the difference between a goth and
a trans?
But that was like a long time ago. I know that things have changed. What's changed? It's like this over permit, like these permissions.
But also to seriously answer your question is that because a gathering of trans people is seen as political a priori, a gathering of goths is not seen as political. It's seen as cultural or subcultural.
What do you call a gathering of goths? Like a lot of goths. What's that?
What's the collective noun for goths?
Yeah.
I don't know. But I feel,
Make it up. Come on.
I feel very...
You're good at these.
I'm not actually. I feel very nostalgic towards Enmore goths because I don't feel like there are as many around.
Oh, they're there.
They're
just fat.
But it used to be, like it's kind of like those ads for endangered species where it's like, there used to be 1,000 and now there's just a little pocket of 5.
Yeah, that's true. My friend Reed actually is a goth.
Not that I have nothing against
Sonia's
goths.
a goth.
Did
you meet Sonia?
Like
well, she's not a goth, but she hung out with goths.
I don't know.
Dom's a goth. I know goths. Like proper old school goth. And you know what? They all look really good.
No,
Dom. You don't know Dom.
Oh, well then why did you?
No.
I do know a Dom, but not a goth Dom.
No, I know goth dom. Gay goth dom. Gay goth dom.
Gay.com.
Yeah.
Gay.com?
Gay.com. Gay.com. Domenico. Sorry, Dom. I know you'll listen to this one day because I'm going to tell you about it. How I fuck your name
Shall we
up.
start?
Yeah.
Do you like my gold dress, by the way?
I do.
Yeah. It's
I
quite
do.
nice, isn't it?
I do. I like your Ali Wong t-shirt as well.
Yes.
Just so you can all have a
Thanks.
visual there.
It's an accidental Ali Wong t-shirt.
I'm going to take a picture of Tim and put it up there so you all can see it, like all of you. There's so many of you.
Mel did not take a picture. I am starting to feel like he doesn't care about me.
Can I go back to the applause thing for 1 second?
Yeah,
just
of
to circle back and finish it, because otherwise I can't move on. Like I can't.
Hurry up.
I started that project because of my ego. I just wanted to play something at night to fall asleep to, and I wanted people to be clapping towards it. Now I know that I've never really said that, but I just wanted all my friends to applaud me.
Embrace the fantasy of it. Like the fantasy of the process.
That's the one. But then I'm scared. Not scared. What's the word? I'm fearful that people will judge that. It's harder to judge the theory.
Yeah, of course. But it's, I mean, again, this is what I said in the honest crit. It's like one of the reasons I like teaching theory is because people very rarely get upset about a crit of their essay, but they do get upset about a crit of their art, right? And that's because what you're using with theory, when you write theory about your artwork, you're literally writing like a layer of defense that people have to get through before they get to the work. So it stops them from not liking the work, which means not liking you. Whereas if you were all in on the fantasy and you would use your projection mapping expertise to make a installation bedroom where they're all just like clapping you to sleep. And that tracks you as you kind of go off to sleep, and it would slowly like diminish away. You know, that would be the fantasy.
How good would you wake up in the morning just having 10 hours of clapping? You know, that's 10 hours of sleep is a long time, maybe 8 hours of clapping. Do you know what I mean? But like you're just bathed in this clapping of all your friends. It's really weird. It's like weird. It's a massage of sound. It's like, it's like, yo, you're the best, man. Fucking hell, make money. Fuck, you're hot. Like, wow, I love your work. I love this work that I'm part of. Yes. You know what I mean? Like, it's an affirmation. All right, let's start.
Unless, have you finished your circle?
That's it. That's all. That's all I want.
Okay.
I thought we did start.
Your mum started it for us.
Your mum.
Your mum.
Your mum.
Your mum.
So today, how do I describe her? How would you describe her, like the coffee person?
Just a kind of bored minimum wage worker.
Yeah, right. She asked us for our Starbucks names for the coffee, and I said Melletios. And what was her? Can you please describe her reaction to me saying Melletios?
It was a misrecognition, right? It was a form of like mild disgust that you would have offered a name. That would be extra labor for her to translate.
It's this body language. That's what it is. Every single time, it's fucking body language, right? And it only doesn't happen when it's another Greek person. But it's really rare. It's really, really rare, right? And I then said, which I do, it's like part of my performance, is it's okay, you can call me Mel, right? And there's a relief. It's an obvious relief. But this person said something like, thank God, or something like that. Like, oh, God, but Mel, you know, like, that's right. Do you know what I mean? Then I asked her for her name, and she said Jen. Now, it's really hard to talk about this. And I'm making you really uncomfortable.
You're suspicious that her name wasn't actually Jen.
No, because she was Asian. And that, it could be Jen. It could be Jen. But I'm sure it's not Jen.
But I'm also sure even if it wasn't, that she, as a precariat labourer, she has the right to withhold her identity from you.
Yeah, this is true. Thank you. I know. But I thought there would be some kind of like affirmation of empathy towards our hard names. Right?
Yeah, I mean, Jennifer is a hard name.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, so for all you gens out there,
Embrace Jennifer.
Embrace it. Embrace your real name. We're doing Easter on Sunday, Greek Easter.
Oh, cool.
Not that I keep on saying, it's really weird because we're atheists. My parents didn't even baptize me. I'm the only Greek that's not baptized, by the way. If there's any other Greeks out there that aren't baptized, please find me.
Maybe that's why you're so fucked up.
Oh, I am fucked up. I'm fucked up because of the diaspora and the trauma that's come with the Greek experience.
You don't have God in your heart. That's why.
No, yeah, it's true.
That's the reason.
This is true. How do you get God in your heart? Have you seen? It's cold in here. Have you seen?
Fix the aircon.
I know.
Last time we were sweating. This time, now we need to cuddle for warmth.
I know. Have you seen the Armageddon happening on Instagram?
Which one?
The one where, the Iran and the Americans...
The whole civilization is going to be wiped off, yeah.
Yeah, the face of the earth, right? Have you seen, the praise of God, of that man in power in America? Like they're comparing him to Jesus and all that stuff through Easter?
Yeah.
He just even had the Greek archbishop, who... apparently a fascist anyway, because when the Greeks had under Metaxar, who was a fascist dictator, and the things, the Greek church rose then. It wasn't, people weren't really that orthodox in Greece. It wasn't part of their culture. It was just that rise of fascism that happened. Read it?
Anti-spectacle as anti-fascist.
Oh, yeah. So how do I do this?
Because it was up there, you fucking
I
cunt.
did not see that. I did not see that. Honest to God, I do this all the time.
You did see it.
Huh?
You did. Your weird brain saw it.
Fucking
and then
hell.
You're I intuited it. How did I know that was on the slide? Because it's literally in front of your fucking face. I didn't know that.
I just saw the word fascist. I said fascist. I saw the word fascist. I went, and then spectacle. This is all that that's what I'm talking about. This rise of this guy that they're calling Jesus Christ through Easter, in the savior, but this guy's not even he's not even the flown-in archbishop. He's not the archbishop of the whole. Yeah. He's just the one in America.
Not even the bishop. I guess.
He's the American one.
Yeah.
There's different archbishops.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means. What is is there a pope?
I was going to say.
Is there an Orthodox pope? Is there one holy one, the big one?
The arch. I mean, I assume there's
the anti-arch, the spectacle.
The D-arch.
The D-arch. The bitch. The D-arch. I love
that. Burgundy is like a bourgeois shit.
It's the worst colour in the world. It's not even a colour. It's an in-between colour. Okay, anti-spectacle as anti-fascist. You wrote this. You should be able to say that first.
Well, you just said it.
No, I didn't.
Right. I actually have a lot of things to get through, and I don't think we're going to get through any of them, which is fine. So I want to talk about the spectacle, and I want to talk about it because I feel like we've mentioned the spectacle a bunch of times, but we haven't actually defined it or talked specifically about it. As I said, I was reading about disability, which we'll come back to probably in the next episode. But in order to get there, I was thinking about anti-spectacle and the fact that we both like boring things, which we do. We like making boring art that becomes something else, and we're kind of fascinated by it. And I think at some point we recognize boringness as sort of anti-spectacular, right? I mean, it's kind of pretty obvious, right? I am rethinking about this because of the rise of a certain type of new aesthetic of fascism and a new spectacle of fascism, and I'm trying to understand it because it leans on the other field of interest that I have, which is pornography. And what I'm starting to notice is that the new fascist spectacle is generating images that look very similar and use the same kind of techniques as softcore pornography. I mean, you can think of the Sweeney Todd, fucking Sydney Sweeney jeans thing, right? That kind of softcore imagery that is directly linking a kind of softcore sexual imagery directly to eugenics, right? Yeah. As a really obvious example, but there are a lot more that, and I'll show you some of them. But I want to define the anti-spectacle then. If the spectacle, if the new fascist spectacle is softcore, and I'm going to kind of go back to the early part of the 20th century to to see how that is kind of visible and why it might be coming back now. The anti-spectacle is hard to look at, right? If the spectacle is easier to look at, softcore, the anti-spectacle is hard to look at, hardcore. So what I'm actually interested in is, yes, on one level, I'm interested in boring work. And so it's actually where this really came from, why I wanted to talk about with you today, is that we are both interested in boring stuff and we're interested in explicit, obscene stuff, right? It's just the bit in the middle that we're not particularly interested in, right?
The commercial stuff.
The commercial stuff, or just the stuff that's like consumed, commodified and consumed, right? Or that's pretty or whatever. So...
And then the only reason we're not interested in that is because of the machine it belongs to.
The machine it belongs to, and the increasingly pretty obvious fascist machine that it belongs to. So, in that sense, something that's hard to look at is either something that we get bored with, so we don't look at it because we're like, we get distracted, or it's hard to look at because it's disturbing, hardcore, explicit, etc., etc. And when you then think about what that means, because I mean, you just said it really, which was about the clapping and the way in which it makes us, or sitting through a boring work, it makes us think about ourselves. Right? And that's the thing we're trying to avoid in a spectacle, is thinking about ourselves. But the other thing that a spectacle or softcore gives you is fantasy. Right? It gives you the narrative, right? It gives you the pleasure of the narrative. We talked about this in the last episode. Whereas the anti-spectacle is that more... Either it produces disgust in you, or like boringness, which leads to a kind of self-shattering, because you're like, I'm only thinking about myself and I don't want to think about myself, and have these kind of recursive thoughts. Or it brings you like a kind of raw desire. So they're the two things I want to just set up before I start, which is spectacle and anti-spectacle. Anti-spectacle is anti-fascist, but almost by design. It kind of has to be. Although nothing is eternally anti-fascist or pro-fascist. But the spectacle itself, particularly in this moment, is fascist, and it would be best described as softcore. Make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So the anti-spectacle is, on one hand, hard to look at, right? So explain this. How do we make things hard to look at? Two main ways of doing it. One is to saturate with light. So too much light, the explicit, the hardcore, the image that approaches the obscene, that hints at something beyond pleasure, a libidinal excess that cannot be sublimated by narrative. That's one side. And the other side is too little light, right? So darkness, the dismissed, the frustrated, the hidden, the boring, the obscured, the misrecognized, the abstract. In both of these cases, we're usually in the realms of boredom, disgust, and dismissal. And so the anti-spectacle has an antagonism or ambivalent relationship to the audience. It's always either giving too much or not enough. And in either of those cases, what it produces is a resistance to taxonomy, right? Which is why it's fundamentally anti-fascist. So in other words, if you have too little light, you might be fantasizing or desiring the wrong object, because there's not enough light on it for you to determine. And then when the lights get turned on, you're like, oh, fuck, I did the wrong thing, right?
Yeah.
And if there's too much light, it's the same thing. It's Nash's black anality. It's like if you fixate it just on like anal sex and the asshole itself, it has no race. But then when the camera moves back from the close-up and it becomes a racialized body, you're like, oh, I was like jerking off to the wrong type of body, right? So in both cases, it upsets the potential of fascist order. In that the good thing about softcore, the good thing about Sydney Sweeney, is that you in every image of her, you know she's a white woman, right? And it's constantly affirming that taxonomy of like, this is the desire object that you are safe in fantasizing about. There's no danger of either too much light or not enough light, of misrecognition in that process. Of course, there is internally when you like actually are fantasizing, but then you repress all that anyway. So that's kind of again like a shorthand if you want to be anti-fascist in the way you approach making it any sense. Then at a very simple level, you could just think about it as either too much light, overexposure, or too little light, underexposure. Yeah. So from being to having to appearing is a really easy way of thinking about what the spectacle is as per Debordian theory. Okay, so Guy Debord writes, Society of the Spectacle, we've talked about it a few times, But a shorthand for it is essentially thinking of the shift across the 20th century and into now of being, as in like we are, our identity is defined through existence and what we produce, you know, our experiences, to having, which is a shift into obviously defining ourselves through what we consume, to appearance and appearing, which is not even having the thing, not even owning the things, but appearing to have the things or appearing to consume the thing. And the appearance is the spectacle. Okay. So the shift from being to having to appearing is the shift into spectacle, which I'm also going to define as fascist. So Debord asserts that the spectacle does not refer merely to an image culture of mass media, but to social relations between people. Okay. So appearing as kind of social media. In other words, capitalism alienates ourselves from our bodies, i.e. being. We enact bodily engagement through the fetishizations of commodities, having. So that's our first step of separation. And in doing so, we relate to ourselves and each other through mediated images and representations. These images are not illusions that pretend to be real. They are our reality and constitute our perception of the world, indeed are the world, i.e. appearance.
Yes.
So appearance becomes the world. And where I want to get to is that another word for appearance is fantasy. So another word for appearance is that fascist spectacle of softcore fantasy. This is just an example. The Black Lives Matter movement, which is global and still continuing. But in 2017, there was this painted by Dana Schultz as in a kind of abstract-y, German expression-y kind of painting from the sort of probably 70s sort of style. And it was in the Whitney Biennale, yeah. It became like a site of protest because of the way within which Black Death is owned by this white painter, like having, right? So for this white painter, there's no being because she didn't have the experience. Her experience of this was purely through media. She moves into having it, i.e. by taking this image and then turning it into a painting. And then the appearance is at the Whitney Biennale as a kind of spectacle of Black Death. Now, it's not to say that we talk about Black Death and, you know, we don't have the experience of that. And so like there are complicated layers that we can work through here. But what I like about this image is that then Parker Bright, who is a black man, stands in front of the work with looking at the work, but back to the audience, with a T-shirt that reads Black Death Spectacle. What is attempted to be done, obviously, in this performance is to reverse that process of appearing to having to being by placing an actual black being existence, lived experience in front of the work itself. So it creates that contrast between those two things. That's just like a shorthand way, maybe easy way of understanding the problematics, of which there are many, of this shift from being to having to appearing.
Yeah, well, the problem over here is obviously that Parker Bright, that's the protester, is obviously seeing like a cultural appropriation of an incident, or not only an incident, like a thing that happens to a thing that happens to black people all the time. Like that was the interesting thing about this is like it was a heavily consumed image to do with the civil rights movement, right? So it kind of sparked off the civil rights movement. But so it's an important image, like it's an important event, right? And you don't want that hijacked in a place which is a biennale, like to promote the artist, so they're actually like, so people can go, oh, they've got empathy for this cause, and they're a white person. It's not a problem. I don't think it's a problem to paint that, well, no matter what your body is. It's where it is, like the location. It's like putting the urinal in a gallery. If the urinal turns into an artwork because it's in this cultural place of class. Yeah. Right. In that class system. But if that same artist was like in a like artist run space in Sydney or something like that, is it a problem? Has it become a problem because we're teaching this as a problem? Fascism can come into what we're talking about.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah. And we wouldn't have talked about it if this protest didn't happen, right? And to call it a protest is also like, well, it's also a performance artwork that's going on here. So like, actually it's quite a strong work now because of the protests and the performance. It became something else. So it's not even necessarily a direct critique of the art, although like obviously there are ways to critique it as there would be. But
and it's fair to say that it is a bad artwork culturally, and it was picked by whoever, like not only the artist,
that did
like they don't get the shit for it. Like it actually got picked and hung. So is it the artist only, or is it the curators as well?
It becomes interesting because of the way that it now talks about spectacle, right? Rather than it talking, like you said, of this kind of badly placed empathy through a kind of spectacularization of Black Death. But it's not that far removed from, I mean, I didn't partake in it because I wasn't on social media, but at the same time, remember like the black squares on Instagram. That everyone was posting black squares in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. And it's like, well, like, why is that abstraction not a problematic appropriation? Right. And now it was a gesture of solidarity. And again, it's neither necessarily good nor bad, but that is a really good example of appearing, right? The black square across all or like the censoring black square across all your social media as a way to like appear. Regardless of whether or not you are or not. And there are lots of people who are very deeply committed to fighting fascism. It is the appearance of it rather than anything beyond that. Even if the beyond that does exist. Make sense?
Totally. It makes sense. Melletios comes back, right?
Yeah.
So Jen, right? Who called out my name, right? She can call it out. Because like in her institution, her name, which is probably Jen, because she also would have experienced what I've experienced in life, maybe, right? You know, obviously she would have experienced it in life. It's that same mechanism in it from day to day.
That mechanism is both in either just the acceptance of her name as Jen, or in the suspicion that her name isn't Jen, right? Both positions are racist.
Totally. And we couldn't talk about it. It took us a moment to talk about it. And I had to say, like, let's unveil this right there. And, you know, that unveiling is what we're unveiling over here. This could have, without the protests, this could have just slipped through. This happens all the time. So I posted the black thing. I did post a black image on Instagram as well. Fuck oath, I'm going to post the black image because, like, this is a mass movement that's going to happen and it's a spectacle. Right? Is the spectacle fascist, though?
I mean, it can slip either way, right? The spectacle can slip into, as I said, too much light or too little light, right? If you think about that, like a few people jumping on and just posting like solidarity or protest images is more in the realm of the spectacle. There is a point though, like there's a hope or a potential where it either goes into the extreme and the explicit, or it gets like pulled back into darkness. And both of those are anti-fascist. So it is possible for like an anti-fascist aesthetic to emerge through a spectacle, but it is also okay to call that a spectacle as well, because it is. And most spectacle, because of course it is, because almost every image is a fucking spectacle.
Exactly.
And it's very hard to resist that in any true sense. But it is also possible to have the hope that it might emerge as something else.
This is the Catch-22, the good book, shit book, terrible book. My first performative book, by the way. In year 8, my sister was reading it. She's 6 years older than me. Right. So she just started uni. So you pick up a book and walk around with it. This is before smartphones and all that stuff, right? I looked at that book and I was like, oh, I'm going to take it to school. I would walk around with this book like in my hand. Not in my. I went to a boys' school there. You get bashed, right? You got caught a wog out or bashed. Like, you know, people talked about bulldogs and roosters. I walked around with that book Catch-22 in my hand. What the fuck was I thinking?
That's an anti-spectacle.
That was an anti-spectacle, right? That's performative, though. Yeah. I never read the book.
No,
I read maybe 2 or 3 chapters. Never finished it. Catch-22. That's a Catch-22. The work needs to exist for there to be a critique. The critique is important. That's what I'm trying to say. Without the critique, no one would talk about it, right?
Another way of thinking about this is that the spectacle is the appearance of the fantasies of capitalism themselves, those with the magical power and control of the spectacle. So, in other words, like the Debordian sense, because remember Debord is writing this in the 1960s, yes, is obviously anti-fascist, but in a way that isn't anti-fascism now. It's like an assumed anti-fascist position as like a starting point, and then obviously he was much more radical than that. But he's primarily anti-capitalist. So he's interested in the way within which, like, the spectacle as it appears is basically the softcore fantasy of capitalism. Because what's really happening is that, like, the workers are having stuff taken away from them. So even the mode of capitalist accumulation and having has pretty much finished by the 60s and 70s. And so now is just the appearance or the possibility of having that we are fantasizing about. And what we are given is the spectacle, which is just the fantasy of the possibility of something.
Whose work was that, by the way?
Oh, that's Kelly Whiskey's work.
Yeah.
First Nations artist.
It's great.
Do you know her works?
I've seen her works before. I don't know who she is because she's got a hard name to pronounce. So therefore, like we do.
Kayleen Whiskey.
Well, yeah. But like when I look at that, I was looking at that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Kayleen's a hard, like to look at that spelt out, Kaylene. I know that doesn't look hard for you, but for me, because I read the beginning of the word and the end of the word, that's Greek.
In this work, why I included it is because just gonna fucking drive right over you, is because it's similar kind of thing where the object has to exist for the critique to occur. So what she does is in this work is that she's painted on top of a tourist sign, right? Those kind of like tourist road sign, which is like direction of, when you can either go the most direct way or you can go the tourist route, right?
Yeah.
This is a tourist route sign. Now, a tourist route sign exists because of the spectacle, right? Because you're supposed to go and stop and have a picnic, look out over some landscape or whatever. So she's taken the sign and then she has painted over it with a different type of spectacle, a kind of black pride spectacle, right? Of these like pop figures that have influenced her and her upbringing, right? But what I find so fascinating is not only that it's on top of the sign, the colonial spectacle sign, but it actually then has erased, like you don't know what the spectacle was. You can't work out where this was, right? And so she's also denying access to the site.
Yeah.
It's like you can't go and visit the colonial spectacle. You have to look at my spectacle instead. So a different kind of appearance. She's still working with the spectacle of black Wonder Woman, Catwoman, like a bunch of like references like nuns and all this kind of thing, which is that kind of Afrofuturist kind of approach. So there is still a spectacle in operation here. But it's really the thing that I like about it is that it's refusing the colonial spectacle underneath it and refusing our access to it or the literal appearance of the name.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about this. Do you know anything about this, or are we going to do a cold read?
No, Heated Rivalries. It's a new. I do. Year. It's on HBO Max, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean.
Oh yeah.
You're just trying to be smart. It's written there, mate.
Is it about like two hockey players that fall in love?
How could you have possibly done that visual analysis from?
I don't know. It's like, and they're an opposing team. Hockey is like a violent sport, right? Like they punch each other and all that stuff. Although now they don't.
They're not allowed to anymore.
They're not allowed to anymore.
But within the zeitgeist, it's the one where you are allowed to fight.
Yeah. But you fight, but you pad it up to the max. Like you get like, I don't even know how, but they pull their gloves off and they just punch pads.
Yeah.
And like they've got a stick. Why don't they just whack each other with the sticks? I don't understand the whole
Well, you're about to.
Yeah. But then these two guys just they lock eyes and then they take off their hockey is nylon. It's a lot of nylon. So when you take off your
static.
Yeah, a lot of static.
Yeah.
It's hot in there because it's ice and you're moving and it's hot, right? And you take off your top. And then you're buff and you're white and you like the exotic and your skin is glistening because there's no hair on it, right? There's a little bit of hair, like a little bit of trail coming up from your cock to your belly button. It's like this sign that's closed. It's closed. Sometimes lint makes its way up into your little belly button. You can collect it. It's different color. You're wearing...
Based on your undies.
Yeah, and your skin's glistening
Yeah.
Right. And then you find an Asian man who's on the other side on the other hockey
Half
team.
Asians important.
Yeah, it's really important
in the series. But
Yeah.
hockey is
because Eurasian
fundamentally
is fucking hot.
but hockey is fundamentally a white sport, right? But in the States, hockey is the whitest of white sports. And then it goes baseball and then NFL and basketball, right?
Yeah.
And so it is actually really, really important that this is ice hockey because this is a coded fantasy within whiteness.
The Aussie version of this show would be like gay footy players. Remember there was a gay footy player that played for Manly and he came out?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
So, yeah, I do remember that.
Sorry. I don't know why that was such a big deal.
Well, it still is a big deal. And currently in the National Hockey League, NHL, there are no gay players. No openly gay players.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you research this?
Yeah.
Wow, we live in a weird world,
Yeah.
right?
So this is still fantasy, right?
Yeah.
This is literally this show is still fantasy. Although in the show they also don't come out. There is a character that does come out, but anyway.
Because hockey only it's in Russia, it's in Poland.
Well, one of these players is Russian.
Oh yeah.
So he's
hot.
It's also like not American, which is also neither character are American. One's Canadian, one's Russian.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it is like an American fantasy.
You can argue Canadians are American. Like they're part of the Americas.
Don't get me started on that. We're not going to go there.
You don't. Why? Just
I hate Canadians. I just hate
really?
Canadians, yeah. Just full. I mean, it's irrational, like most hatreds of.
That's where I thought you had not one racist bone in your body. But Canada's not a race.
No. It's a nation state.
Yeah.
I hate the nation state of Canada.
Yeah. Oh, it's like I hate the nation state of Australia.
Yeah, well, yeah, but no,
I hate Australians.
It's a different. Yeah, obviously, I hate every nation state, but
when
I particularly hate Canadians.
When I play chess.com, do you play chess.com?
No, I do not.
All right. There's a little flag next to the people's names. It's really fascinating. If an Australian flag comes up, I go, I want to beat them bad. If an American flag comes up, I want to beat them bad, right? If an Israeli flag comes up, I go, oh man, I want to beat them bad.
Yeah.
Like Turkish flag comes up, I want to beat them bad. Like it's really weird.
Yeah.
British flag, it's like all those flags. It's really, but if there's an unrecognizable flag, like if it's like from Nigeria or something, I go, oh, that's cool. Like all the Arabic ones
using
there.
a VPN.
Yeah. It's really cool. You can change your flag. Like you can have the international one. I hate those people. Like the international flag. Anyway, sorry.
So
but Canadian flags don't get me that. Because I feel like they hate it as well. Canadians hate being Canadian, just like Australians hate being Australian.
I don't know about that.
Do you know why do you hate Canadians?
I love New Zealanders, even though you could argue like New Zealand is the global South version of Canadians, but they're not.
Or Swiss. They're the Swiss. No.
Who are the Swiss?
No, they're the Finnish. You know, like Finland.
Oh, yeah.
And I think of them as Norwegians, the Australian Norwegians.
Yeah.
And Australians are the Swedish. Because the Swedish suck, man.
So, Heated Rivalries. All right. Most people will have heard of this show.
Have you watched it?
No. Oh, well, I have seen some of it, but I haven't watched the whole thing.
Is it new?
Yeah, well, it's like came out last year.
Yep. Did it come out on November 28th?
Yes. So, appearance is really important within a spectacle. That appearance is always a fantasy and not reality, even though it pretends to be a reality. So there's always a lack involved, right? Having something, you can be disappointed with the thing that you have, but you have it, right? Once you get into the realm of the spectacle, you've created a fantasy that is sustaining itself. It performs as reality, but there's nothing really there. And this is Heated Rivalry is a really, really good example of this, of how the fantasy operates. And I'm going to say it's a really good example of why the notion of the spectacle from the board, which was a critique of capitalism, I think now we should be much more attuned to the spectacle in the service of fascism, which it always was, but is obviously also in the service of capitalism. But we should start to read these sorts of texts as a fascist spectacle rather than necessarily a capitalist spectacle, right? First and foremost. So what's going on here? Firstly, Heated Rivalry is the reason why it's so popular. Well, first of all, let's discuss who it's popular with. It's popular with middle class and mostly middle class white women are in love with this. It was first a book. It was a book, and there's apparently hundreds of books around like homoerotic and gay sports stars, in particular hockey for some reason.
Yeah.
But we kind of know why. So it was a very popular book, turned into a show, and the biggest demographic is white middle class women. But it was like almost hysterically consumed. So what's going on here? So first of all, we have, if we think about it through a fascist spectacle, we have a kind of naturalization of violence and sex for white able-bodied men, right? So, I mean, you can see it in these two images, right? They're literally on one image, almost the same image. In one, they're about to fight each other, and in the other, about to fuck each other. But it's essentially the same image. So what's being affirmed here is this whiteness and violence go together, right? Fascism must always say that, because that's the duty of white, to protect in that kind of violent, explicitly violent way. But similarly, their duty is to fuck. But what's also happening here is that they're fucking each other. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how homosexuality and fascism have kind of come together in really quite disgusting ways. What is kind of being affirmed again naturally here is like, well, why wouldn't they want to fuck each other, right? They're hot. They're the most competitive, violent, perfect people. So why wouldn't those two desire objects want to fuck each other? There's a naturalization at every level, supposed naturalization of every level of competitiveness, able-bodiedness, whiteness, as desiring of each other. So that's the first thing. The second thing is it's a fantasy that desire-filled sex, as in sex that is pleasurable, is possible, even though the audience, white women, don't have access to it. So that their reality of sex is disappointment. Right.
So it's like soft core, like you were talking about before.
Yeah, it's soft core, absolutely, yep. Right? So this is soft core porn. Like it is 100%. It's quite explicit for HBO, right? So it's still soft core though, right? So obviously not hardcore. There's like one shot of a penis if you kind of look hard enough. Women don't have access to this, and yet fascism tells them that these are the men that they should desire. Okay, and yet their experience of white men is not desire, is unsatisfaction. Not satisfying sex. So for middle-class white women, many...
Unless you're the man.
Unless you're the man.
Like you could feel like you've had satisfied sex.
Yeah, but even then, like it's kind of interesting because they're fucking each other, right? So the satisfaction of their sex is occurring with each other and not women.
Yeah.
Although one of the characters is bi, but clearly the desire is for each other in all of this.
Yeah, yeah.
So...
No, what I meant before was like, unless you're like, because like...
But you mean within that
that
the
satisfaction
thinks that they're having
there you go. You know, maybe, like that whole thing is like, oh yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
that's the we don't call that out as much. It's like,
well, the fantasy of the husband is that he's just not getting enough sex, right?
Yeah,
it's like I have good sex when I get it, but I don't get enough.
I give good sex too.
Yeah. It's like, then why aren't you having more?
Yeah.
But also like while the white man can, that's the fantasy, the appearance when they're out with their mates. It's like, like I love sex. My wife doesn't give me enough. The opposite is true for women, which is like, I would like more sex, but the sex that I have is horrible or not good, right? And so that's the reality. But what a show like Heated Rivalry does, it says to the audience, like, you don't have good sex, but you can enjoy the fantasy of the love objects that I'm supposed to desire fucking each other. So I can have like this kind of perfect fantasy that is like inaccessible to me. The other reason why I think it's so popular with this audience is that it is the fantasy of the fascist, competitive, violent man who is, at the same time, capable of care, sensitivity, and gentleness, even if i.e. the audience, only experiences abuse from these objects. I think one of the really important things that fascism has to do, particularly for women, is to present violence as necessary, and therefore part of it is the desiring of the violence. So the desiring of the violence on the ice and getting into the competition and like, we're going to fuck each other, fuck each other up, and then the next scene we're going to fuck each other, right? So both of those things. But there's also like an excuse, a move to innocence that, my man is violent when he's a cop and when he's controlling a drone or when he's like volunteers to be a member of ICE. He's going to go and be fascist and violent, but when he comes home, he's going to be loving and caring. Like deep down that these men are still
just driving to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Driving to work and fucking shouting at someone, right?
Yeah.
And so it is this hope that when you see your society move towards fascism and your supposed desire objects, men, white men, being more openly and loudly violent, that deep down they're still loving, caring. Even if they're not to me, they are to each other.
Yeah.
They have the capacity for that, right? And so it's a move to innocence. There's also, of course, like a fantasy of queer sex from within fascism, which I'm going to like talk about in a little bit as well. That is not queer sex at all. It's homonationalism. Is actually what we're looking at, right? But there is this hope from the women watching that once the hetero, masculine, violent nationalist duty is done, right? Once you get rid of all the immigrants, once you police all the violent crime and whatever else, right? Once men have done their job, there will be a space for sexual freedom. Now, whether or not women imagine themselves in that, maybe that's like the ultimate hope. But there is this idea again, like after they've done their job on the ice, and they've defended whiteness and masculinity and gender and all these like tight taxonomies that fascism insist on, there is a fluidity that follows, which is obviously fucking bullshit and completely impossible within fascism. But that the idea is like, we just need order now. If we can just get the men to do all the ordering of society, then we can have our freedom. Then we can have our desire and everything will be okay. We just need to kind of get through this bit. And so these kind of shows, again, affirm that the most hyper-masculine of men, the most competitive of men, once they've done their duty, once they've won, they can actually be liberated. But only with each other, because everyone else has been eliminated.
It's a fantasy.
Yeah, it's a fantasy.
So the fantasy is also from the female perspective. I don't want to speak from the female perspective. This is what I think, right? Like, is that, and this has been narrated to me. Like, I have to put a disclosure on that.
Yeah.
Disclaimer. TM, TB, that this narrative has been given to me through pop media and movies and all that stuff. That the fantasy of the gay body to the woman is like the gay man can objectify me, but he can see me. He objectifies me by seeing me.
Yeah,
like the straight body just sees the object.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So that I feel safe around the gay man who. Maybe one day they can have me. Do you know what I mean? Because they can see me.
Yeah.
So there's that fantasy that's built up. And I think I got that from Sex and the City. I don't just want to like.
But I mean, let me like riff off that because it's an important point, which is actually fundamentally what's happening there is it is safe for me to desire the gay man, right? Because I can have a fantasy about this and I can feel, but I'm never going to be sexually assaulted by this man. So I can actually feel
safe.
Desire without that being misinterpreted as suddenly like I'm in a situation where I'm being abused, right? The same is true why like the flip side of Heated Rivalry is like romancia novels which are about like vampires and like elves and stuff, right? Yeah. Because you can fantasize about those figures because those figures are never going to turn up in your life and say, wait, you jerked off to me, so you must want to fuck, right? And so there is most definitely a way within which a straight woman's desire towards men has to be misdirected because if it's not, it always opens you up towards violence.
Yeah.
The easiest way to think about this is like, just think about like the stereotype of the straight man watching lesbian porn is so much and fundamentally different to the straight woman watching gay porn.
Yeah.
Precisely because, as you said, like being seen, but it's also a safety.
Yeah.
Right. But for the straight man, it's not. It's about like claiming ownership over something. But then lastly, I just wanted to talk about with the viewer before I'll get in a little bit more detail is the much more under-discussed, and I think like increasingly so, there's a book called Late Fascism I've flagged before that does this a lot, that looks at the participation of women within fascism. Because as much as this is like giving like reasons as to why men are being violent and therefore you have to kind of divert your fantasy, there is also an affirmation that's occurring here that women are performing towards fascism as well. In this sense, there are certain rewards, both fantastical and real, that the states provides to the right types of women who are desiring the right types of fantasies. Which was like explicit within the rise of Nazi Germany, but Trump says it as well. Yeah. You know, like for the right kind of babies, you'll get a baby bonus kind of thing, right?
Totally.
So
that's what I want to talk about that really quickly, just to put that into so we can visualize it. a Nazi and a fascist, I know they're related, like they're cousins, right? Like it's the word, but they're two different things, right? So we've got to like think what we're experiencing today is not Nazis, right? Fascism has existed in our, like disguised itself and hasn't disappeared since the Nazis, since we defeated the Nazis. It's always been there.
But that absolutely right. So fascism in that sense is different from the specifics of Nazism as it emerges in the 1930s in Germany. And in fact, you can trace fascism at least back to the like 1880s and 1890s. And
even the monarchs were like...
but I think that in terms of the way that we might think about fascism today, it is perhaps more directly linked to notions of eugenics.
Yeah.
And because that's where you can start to talk more about disability and more about like racial science and stuff like that. And that really kind of kicks off in the latter half of the 19th century, which obviously is then picked up by Nazism, but it continues today. Like even in there's a reason why these bodies are the ones that are chosen, right? Because they are fit, young, white bodies. Yeah. And similarly, the way that like Elon Musk talks about his IQ, right? There's a hierarchizing of value, of human value, which is fundamental to fascism, either like intellectually or physically, as the rights to dominate someone else. And then that becomes obviously simplified taxonomically into racial as well as like sexual orientation and stuff like that.
What happens now with fascism, right? It's changed though because there's the capital as well, so it's class.
Sure, and
like it's not a body anymore.
If you're a good Marxist, you say it is all class anyway, right? I mean, because you don't get that body without being of a certain class.
Yeah, totally.
And so yes, 100%. And this is precisely the point that I will talk about in the next week, which is about disability. That almost all disabilities, as defined by Germany in the 1880s and 1890s, were actually just illnesses of poverty. Right. So, but they get labeled as disabilities that are inherent or inherited by certain bodies. Yeah. Whereas in fact, it's just poverty. Yeah. It's just that's what produces it.
Yeah. So, and this is what I like about DJs, right? DJs aren't the most prettiest people in the world. Like they don't have bodies like that, right? And that's why I think that we're talking to DJs more than we are artists. Because they get this totally. It's new to them, but they get it, you know?
I got 3 slides.
Okay. You had 3 slides an hour ago.
Yeah, we've only done 1 slide.
No, we did like... okay. Look, I shouldn't complain because I don't do any of the slides. I just rock up.
And I am missing a lot of these slides. I could jump to the next one, but why not? Why don't we just do 3 slides? It's not going to be that much.
Have we skipped any slides throughout this whole 2-year journey that we've had?
We've skipped 4 slides already today.
Can we do like after the disability, like the slides that we skipped?
Yeah, the forgotten slides.
The forgotten slides. Side B.
I'll go back.
Yeah.
B-sides. The DJ special.
Yeah.
So...
What's your DJ name?
I'll come up with think of one.
Mine's Mellicious. You didn't ask me about my one. So rude.
I'm not interested.
Oh, far out. It's Mellicious. Anyone that wants to book me, DJ Mellicious. You know why it's malicious? I know you want to get to this slide.
I do.
But I have to tell you.
Tell me.
Because my name's Melletios, right?
Oh, right. Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah, that's the only reason. I actually was DJing. I used to DJ with friends, and this one particular one, I have a friend called Gonz. We're like a friend now, but back then we weren't friends. We just kind of knew each other. Well, I knew him, he didn't know me. But anyway, Gonz was DJing at the Performance Space, and I put down, they asked me what my DJ name was, and I said Melletios. I'm just going to keep my name. Fuck DJ names, right? Like a lot of you DJs know that. Do you know what I mean? You don't even want the word DJ in front of your name. You just want to be. So I just wrote down what they said, what's your DJ name? We have to put it down on our flyers. So I wrote down Melletios, right? And because motherfuckers are dyslexic, right? They saw my name and they thought it was malicious, right? And I went out on radio, like on 2SER, because it's the furthest we'll get in the radio. It's not like Today FM or shit like that. Maybe Triple J, right? And I went out on the radio and they went, and DJ Mellicious, because they read my name and they called it malicious. Oh. And I was like, fuckers can't say Melletios, they just have to say malicious. But then it was like, I like that. Cool. I like that. It's kind of cool.
Say that when you're getting a coffee order next.
Malicious. Yeah, I know. It's kind of got, it's kind of sexy though,
It's kind of
isn't it?
sexy.
It's like, it's malicious. Do you know what I mean?
Delicious Mellicious.
Anyway.
Delicious Mellicious.
Sport and violence. So one of the really interesting things is that sport as a commercial workplace, right? It's one of the very few industries where violence is just inherent. Part of it. It's allowable. It's like trained into it. Violence means you're touching each other, right? So there's an inherent, like there's obviously force and violence in here, but it is very close to homoerotics. It's very close to like just literal touch of people together that you don't get in most workplaces.
Like footy players.
Yeah, like footy players, yeah.
Like when they're interviewed afterwards, right? Have you heard their voices? Because they've been like touching each other for a very long time.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, it was a very good game.
How does that relate to them touching each other for a long time?
I don't know. I just wanted to say that. It's funny.
Okay, so
Fascism's funny.
it is funny.
Sorry.
Let me fucking finish.
Yeah, sorry.
So I was thinking you can actually think about this as a...
I grabbed his ass.
Shut the fuck up.
Sorry.
Malicious cunt. So you can think about sport, therefore, as a spectrum of violence, right? And at one end of the spectrum, if you think about the sports that you know, one end of the spectrum is sedentary sports where there is no touching between each other, like fucking darts or fishing or whatever the fuck. The other end is just violence, like MMA, right? Boxing, shit like that. Yeah. The closer on that spectrum, the closer one gets to violence, so fighting, the more homoerotic opportunities emerge, simply because fucking training, touching each other all the time.
Yeah, you're grappling.
Yeah, and you want that, right? You've made that decision. You're in there, repressed or otherwise.
I see it. I feel it. Like when you've got your elbow in your head and you just like cut open the blood and you're just smooching into it. Like you just like, you just want to.
And the audience is baying for it as well, right? So that it's not just the players. The audience is also getting off on watching men touch it. It's the soft core fucking fantasy, right?
When you're having sex, right? Like you want to eat that person. That's how I want to be just in that person. Like I just want to eat them.
Yeah.
Like that's a violent act. You know, you kind of stop yourself actually hurting each other.
You're kind of naturalizing violence and sex here again, which is the fascist position I'm trying to critique, Mel.
Oh, sorry. I just got a little bit horny then. Sorry. I was thinking.
It's all right. As long as it's mutual, it's all fine.
Yeah. Like, you know, you're banging heads together and you just push yourself in because orgasms are fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. It's like a weird dance.
But so
it's emergence.
But so is winning, right? So like that and like that very much that idea of like winning at the bell is the orgasm. Right?
Yeah.
And the crowd goes wild, you go wild. It's this big release of energy and then you stop.
Is that why like in fighting it's only like 2 minutes long?
Because you have quick
ding, 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 ding.
Multiple orgasms.
Yeah.
Well, the closer it gets to fucking, and I'm going to talk about this in a second, the more it has to get repressed.
Yeah.
So once it gets on that spectrum, right? So the more violent the sport, the more homoerotic opportunities exist and homosexual opportunities exist. But once it gets to just pure violence like MMA, if you ever watch like MMA, the homoeroticism becomes repressed once more because it is just literally violence. So it gets, because the violence is as close as possible to the real, like sports violence is still simulated in that there are rules and refs and like it's like part of the play. Like you said with the hockey players, they take their mitts off, but they're still just beating each other with like
the pads.
They don't use the stick.
Yeah.
So there are rules. MMA, obviously, there are also rules, but you're getting very close to just two people beating the shit out of each other, which is very close to two men fucking each other, right? So you're very close from the fantasy just becoming the reality, where I could imagine, like in another universe, I can just imagine like these two men coming into the octagon just with loincloths on, right? Like, why wouldn't they just start fucking each other?
An octagon?
Yeah, it's like a circle. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever the fucking is, right? It's like it's like a stripper stage.
Yeah.
Like it is so close to them just fucking each other. So you have to repress that a lot. So any form of pure violent sport, like martial arts, jiu-jitsu, whatever, is the most homophobic. Footy is obviously homophobic as well. Like the further you get down that violent line, the more homophobic you have to be, the less out you can be, and at the same time it's the most fixed on discipline, martial arts being a really good example of that. It's like it's very disciplined kind of sport and everyone's like fixated on being disciplined in what you're doing. What is discipline? Discipline is repression, right? You need to train and train and train to repress, to discipline your violence so that it is all purely focused on fucking the other person up rather than fucking the person. So discipline within these sports is a protection against it just turning into an orgy.
Yeah.
So that's why I think like martial arts is a really interesting thing that certain men gravitate towards. And with the increase in fascism, not only have we seen a rise within like the gym body and that kind of bullshit, but also an increase in men wanting to learn martial arts. Anyway.
Do you think it's also parents, like parents put their kids through there because they live in such a violent world that they think martial arts is the only one, because boxing is a very violent thing, right?
Yeah.
They go, oh, martial arts that came from Asia.
They'll teach you discipline.
They will teach you discipline. They'll teach you not to get into
there's
a
an
fight.
Orientalism.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There 100% is.
Yeah.
But there is something else going on here. The parent thing is something, and fuck it, I'll just address it now.
Yeah.
It's, to me, it's men who learn to fight, who are turned to fighting. Not all men, but like a certain type of man who does that are quite similar to the men who insist on telling you how smart they are or what their IQ is, right? This is the eugenic fascism, right? It's an attempt to go like, my body is naturally dominant, but all it is doing is trying to hide your privilege, right? And the class, to return back to class, it's trying to hide that class and that privilege. And therefore this move towards like, I'm a good fighter, or like, I'm going to learn how to fight, be disciplined. I'm just going to use it to protect myself and my family and shit. It's actually just a signifier of impotence. It's pure signifier of impotence, because what's really going on here is that it's an attempt to hide that the only power that these men have is purely symbolic, i.e., it's their privilege that they've been born into, precisely because they can spend 3 days a week being trained, right?
Yeah.
You need money in order to do that, the time to be able to do that. If you are actually trying to fucking raise a family, if you're like, I'm protecting my family, you don't have time to do that. And you are literally embodying a fascist body as natural. It's like, well, I would have all of this money and stuff anyway, because look at my body. Of course I would, right? That's the fascism that is the new fascist body. I'm deeply suspicious of anyone who is healthy in that kind of way, because it is trying to make a naturalizing claim that is erasing privilege. Which is why we like heroin chic. We like people who look like they're about to die.
This is true.
Because it's actually far more accurate to the world that we're living in.
I also have to say this, like, I know this is ironic, right? But like 2 years ago when we started this,
I was a fat cunt.
We both were like, and we look great.
I know,
because we've gone on diet.
But that's not
started
because
going to the gym.
I know I haven't. I definitely haven't.
But you go for walks.
Yeah, I've always gone for walks.
And you meditate.
The reason that we look good is because we have each other.
Ha 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 ha.
This is true.
Because we're making art. And
you didn't say, like, I've seen you twice now. I'm growing my hair. You've not said anything.
Are you?
Yeah, my hair's way longer.
No.
It's always shaved.
I don't notice this shit. I genuinely don't notice this shit.
Like,
I'm sorry.
everyone else
I do
has
apologize.
noticed. Everyone, can I'm just
because you show me a picture of you.
I'm just going to show you a picture of me because I hate pictures of me.
But I'm interested in you, not your fucking hair.
Look at that.
Well, don't show me. I mean, that's from a few days ago. I can see it.
I was more shaved there. Like it was more. So it's longer now. Look at how good do I look?
You look great. I'm not denying that. You actually do look great.
Yeah. Sorry.
God, you just reminded me of someone. Now I can't place it. Anyway.
George Clooney?
Maybe, but probably not.
No, okay.
I mean, there is a little Clooney in here.
Yeah, a little bit of a Clooney. Sorry.
Anyway, so...
back to the homoerotic fighting. Yeah.
So that's one end of the spectrum, the violent end of the spectrum.
Class.
And class. At the other end of the spectrum, the sports are the least homoerotic, right?
Yeah.
Darts is like as or pool is as unhomoerotic as you can
Darts
imagine.
is coming back in. It's like $1 billion sport game.
Right.
Like it's really popular.
Is it gambling or is it
I don't know. People watch it. No, they like watching it.
Okay.
It's like, did you ever, like when you grew up, no, because you didn't grow up yet.
No, I do remember.
Yeah, like ABC watching snooker or darts in the morning.
Yeah.
Like that was I like that. And the one with the thing that they, like, you can't see what I'm doing, but it looks like I'm wanking, but I'm brushing the ice and there's like this big ball I used to love watching that. Yeah. Sometimes I'd even watch the curling. Sometimes I'd watch.
Curling is the one exception to my theory.
That's the anti-fascist spectacle.
Yeah.
Isn't darts the anti-fascist?
No.
Darts.
It's
not. Very blokey.
It's very blokey.
Yeah.
And it's not homoerotic. It's homophobic, but just by default, not intentionally. Whereas like hockey and certainly any martial arts is homophobic.
Google Analytics, right? AI it. What's really popular at the moment? Darts. And on Marketplace, you can't find a dartboard. They're selling out.
Anyway, so thinking about darts, it's the least homoerotic because they haven't invented rules to touch one another, right? In the sport, you don't touch each other. If you do touch each other, it's not in the rules.
Yeah.
So this creates an awkwardness in the play itself because there's actually time to like talk to one another, right? It's more social than anything. And so this creates a problem because you could actually form a relationship with another man in that situation, right? It's not just the homoerotics of crashing into one another.
Within darts.
Yeah.
Like you can go...
You can talk to the other guy.
You've got 320s.
Yeah.
60, yeah.
No, but this problem is solved. This problem is solved by the fact that if you think about it, most sedentary sports are solitary. They're not team sports.
Yeah.
Curling is the one exception, which is why I say curling is perhaps the only queer sport. Still masculine sport, sport that's then not just solely coded as like gay. But that's how you solve that problem. You turn it into an individual sport. So tennis is largely an individual sport because you don't hit each other.
Yeah.
Right. The more that you hit each other, the more it becomes a team sport. The more it becomes like ingrained within homoerotic rituals. So hockey is just on that spectrum. If you think about it, hockey is just before mixed martial arts. Right. It's not full on repressed homoeroticism because it's still a team sport and there is still primarily about hitting a fucking ball into a thing. Right.
This is how we start nationalism with like team sports, right?
Yeah, nationalism affirming sport teaches you how to
be a nationalist.
Yeah,
which then leads into a fascist, which then leads into a psychopath, and then leads you into like a white supremacist.
But it is sexual. It's
Nazi.
Fucking sexual. This is my point.
Yeah.
That from the very start of nationalism that we learn through sport is the homoerotics of sport itself.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, nationalism, learn to hate the other team, all that kind of thing. Yes, it's there, but it's libidinal. It's sexual.
So the English hooligans that hate their other. Like the other class, like the other borough, like, West End or West Ham hates
Man City versus Man United.
Because one's rich and the other one's in the, you get a Chelsea smile or something like that. What happens in gentrification? Does that get rid of hooligan? Like, does the hooligan die? Do they just eat popcorn now and watch and dream of like days of watching Guy Ritchie movies?
Well, I think they start watching the Heated Rivalries. Like, I think it becomes nostalgic. So as such, hockey is the most homoerotic without the obsessive disciplining of how to touch one another, especially within the team. And it is the most white. And so therefore it kind of makes entire sense as to why Heated Rivalries becomes like the fantasy of middle-class women.
Yeah.
But the big part that's being missed in most of the analysis around this is precisely what you brought up, which is that this is in no way a show that is queer, right? It's about two gay guys who are closeted, right, throughout the whole show. And so it is a fantasy, right, of something that is private, that is being made a public fantasy, right? So it's because obviously it's all like fictional, right?
Yeah.
And so what is it actually performing? What is it doing? Yes, it is at a micro level like a wank fantasy for the audience, a safe fantasy for the audience, but it is essentially affirming homonationalism. Right, it's shifting homosexuality from a category of like anti-fascist to a category of fascist, and that's like a really scary thing to observe because we have been seeing since Puar's book on homonationalism, we have seen the way within which identities which were persecuted, like being gay, have become folded into fascism in a really like disgusting kind of way. And I think Heated Rivalries, intentionally or not, emerges in a time that is trying to claim that ground. Not only for the reasons that I've already established, but, why is Heated Rivalries around two, like, twink, beautiful men really popular at a time when the trans panic is most commonly hystericized through sport? Like, why aren't they trans? Right? There's just no universe in which they could be trans.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Like, the trans sports player. Why is that big for? Like trans and sports. Like, Who cares?
Well,
who cares about sports?
yeah, no, but because we do care about sports, because it's training homonationalism.
Yeah.
What this is trying to say is it's okay to be gay in sport because that's a private thing now, right? And in fact, in Heated Rivalries, when a reporter asks, are there any gay hockey players? The reply from these main characters is no, or none that are public. And so what it's saying is like homosexuality, just like Berlant and Warner's heterosexual culture, is, yes, it's private in that like it occurs in a private bedroom, but it supports nationalism, either heteronationalism and here homonationalism. So like we are allowed to have the fantasy. What we're being told is you can have the fantasy of gay men now.
Yeah.
It's okay. They can be part of this homonationalism. What can't be part of nationalism are trans people.
Yeah.
And that's why we're trying to defend, like these gay men will defend hockey against the trans player.
Yeah.
Whoever they happen to be, because the trans player isn't allowed to be private. If a trans player was like unveiled in sport. Now, obviously, the same can be said for like coming out in sport, because like there are no openly gay hockey players, so there's still obviously a problem.
I didn't even know there was any hockey players. Like it's not like we live in Australia. It's like hockey's not like a thing, right?
No. But it is a big thing in the States.
Yeah.
It's a massive thing in the States.
Like donuts and hockey, right? And cops and hockey. Cops. What I want to see. This is what I want to see. And it's not funny.
Ha 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 ha.
Because, you know, in sports, there's a use by date. Like, he's 38. He's like, he's done his career in football. Or she's like, you know, she's 27. Like, she's done her career in sports, you know, like the Matildas, right? This use by date, right? Like the body. I want to see like old people playing sports.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Like just old mixed teams.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But what sport teaches us is fucking fascist taxonomies.
Yeah.
Because it's not just all about gender. Although, of course, that's predominantly how we think about it,
but
right?
it's also about
age.
Fitness,
it's about ability. It's about race. Like, it's just kind of coincidental that hockey's all played by white people and basketball's all played by black people, right?
Yeah.
Like, no, it's obviously not fucking coincidental. It's like, it's a taxonomy of race applies to sport and gender and ableism and ageism, right?
Yeah.
All of these things are being learnt through sport.
Turned into a Joe Rogan fucking like talking session here.
Because he talks about fighting a lot.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. And homoerotic stuff like that.
He doesn't talk about that.
No, he doesn't.
He is that, but he doesn't talk about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let me get to the end.
So,
I'm very close now.
Yeah.
So homosexuality doesn't disrupt the public in that sense. It doesn't disrupt the logic of the gendered violence and gendered labor that underpins nationalism, right? So and capitalism. So trans sports stars do not have the right to this. They have to be public. And because transness is considered a threat to the very notion of what a public is. So when viewed through sport, it is a threat to the rules of the game, like a trans sports person is a threat because they break the rules or whatever. And libidinally, it's a threat to the homoerotic play that is not public but is also known. So in other words, like what happens when you put a trans person into a homoerotic like set of its own libidinal rules and playing out. We talked about this before about, you know, the trans panic in sport. The other one is in bathrooms. Yeah. And the thing that we talked about last time was that, because if trans man walks into a male bathroom and sees everyone fucking, they're going to report back. So it is in this sense a similar kind of thing of like the rules of able to be gay but not public within sport as a fantasy of appearance of men as gentle, white men, fascist men as gentle, has to be kind of preserved and protected at every point from any encounter with reality.
For the trans identity, especially after the gay marriage recently, or not recently, but like in the last 10 years, marriage equality, I feel like the trans body is being attacked even from like, you know, TERFs, from the queer, do you know what I mean? Like queer in itself has a different meaning to what queer did 10 years ago. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think because of this. Yeah. The whole point of this is there a problem with any form of taxonomy. Yeah. And affirmation within a certain identity. And how that then can be used, right? It can be used. It's the same question, right? It can either be used in order to affirm a kind of fascism, which would be homonationalism, or obviously an identity can then be used in explicit or in unexplicit ways to become anti-spectacle. So I really think any identity position is only as interesting in as much as it pushes against itself and pushes against fascism.
Yeah, it becomes the spectacle, not the anti-spectacle.
Yeah, it can become it can become the spectacle.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't start with that politics, but it very quickly can. And I would say 2 gay white hockey players is a spectacle. I mean, it's just, I can't possibly imagine it in any other way.
Yeah.
Whereas that doesn't mean that all gay men are therefore homonationalists, right?
Yeah, of course.
Or anything like that, right? That's why I want to untangle these things. And also to say Heated Rivalry is a fiction, right? These men don't exist.
Yeah.
So the last images I'm showing are, and just to kind of put this into perspective, that like, even within the explicit, there's quite a lot of nudity in Heated Rivalry. That nudity and naturalism was a really important part of the emergence of Nazism and fascism in Germany. And the naturalist movement in the early part of the 20th century ends up being really uncomfortably aligned with fascism, precisely because of this able-bodiedness, of the fact that like the male body, and so both the Hitler Youth, the League of German Girls and the Hitler Youth boys, were required to exercise nude, and that kind of pushing together of like exercise, sport, nudity, touching of like same-sex bodies together becomes coded into fascism at its very genesis in the early part of the 20th century. And so I think there's something to be said when we then turn to these sorts of bodies and have fantasies about these sorts of bodies that are then kind of coded as gentle and coded as kind of queer, even in some ways, as being a real big problem that we need to kind of unpack.
Is it like the propaganda machine? Is this where it starts? Like propaganda
I think it is. But Heated Rivalries, I think, is propaganda for like white middle class proto-fascists. Like to put it like really bluntly, I think that's what it is. And but I also think it's an antidote to cruel optimism, right? Because why are these white women having these fantasies? Right? Or anyone who watches it have the fantasy, because that's what they've been promised, right? Like the optimism is like, get married and have gentle, nice sex with a white man who will protect you. The reality is boredom, or like perhaps even the anti-spectacle, right? Is struggle, is non-desire. And so the antidote to that in the spectacle is these beautiful twink men who are competitive and all the things that you're told that you're supposed to have married or like be attracted to, but they are also these beautifully gentle creatures that love each other. Even if and that's why I can't have access to it, because they're too busy engrossed in each other. So it is, even in itself, is a form of cruel optimism. It's like, look at this beautiful thing that you can enjoy, but you can't have. And I think that's tragic, but I think it's of this very particular moment as well, where there's a whole group of people who are in that spectacle at the moment. And like we're saying, so you can start in the spectacle. These women are in that spectacle because they're disappointed and they're yearning for something different. One option is to go further into the spectacle of fascism, which I think Heated Rivalry is doing. But similarly, they have the option of not, right? Yeah. And either like existing in that boredom, come back to what we said, right? You have 2 options. You can actually turn that boredom into the anti-spectacle. Like, be like really obviously bored about your fucking boring life, right? Show people that you're bored. Don't pretend. Now you're the performance artist that is standing in front of the exploited image. You're the wife that doesn't look interested, right? Or the other end of the spectrum is the explicit. Go out and fuck a bunch of people, right? Do what you see in Heated Rivalry, but with someone who's not going to abuse you. Find the difference and fuck it. So you can either be explicit in your anti-fascism that way, or you can have less light, which is like to remove yourself and be that kind of bored, uninterested, I do not believe in this figure. You do not have to continue down the disappointment of consuming the spectacle, which ultimately will lead you to fascism, lead you to these kind of images of like what your body and what your kids' bodies should look like. And we should just finish by remembering that Hitler's office, this is a picture of Hitler's office, and for every day that he went into his office, he had to walk between 2 statues by Brecker, who was the prominent Nazi sculptor. What did Brecker normally sculpt? Nude men. And these are 2 big bronze nude men that literally Hitler walks between every time he goes to his office. It's walking between that space.
Yeah.
That's what Hitler did every day, right?
Yeah.
So I think that we can read this as I don't know, that sounds like naff, but there's actually not a huge amount of difference between those sculptures and the cover of Heated Rivalry.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's be honest.
Totally.
And he chose that for the way that he would walk through his orifice into his office.
So what are we saying here, right? Like,
Wait for it.
all gay men are evil?
How did you take that, Mel?
Well, I don't know, because it's like, well, no, suppressed gay. All straight men are evil because they're suppressed gays. That's what's the anti-spectacle.
No.
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 No, 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 no.
Homonationalism is the problem.
Okay.
Homonationalism is the problem.
Yeah,
Any
yeah.
erotics
Okay.
Mel gets it now.
that is straight or gay or any other type of erotics that is indexed towards affirming nationalism in whatever form that is. Because nationalism is a priori fascist in that protecting you are better than others and you'll protect yourself against others. What sports does is teach you how to be national, right? As a kid all the way up, right? And so when you put erotics into that mix, closeted or otherwise, you know, it could just be the cheerleaders, right? I mean, the way that they kind of disguise it in popular culture is like you will see these men hitting each other, but then they'll quickly pan away to the cheerleaders. It's like, oh, I'm still straight. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, so I actually got a hard on because I was just looking at cheerleaders, not because I'm looking at these guys hitting each other. Whenever you use erotics towards a nationalist end, or any fascist end, but the nationalism is the most obvious and apparent, that is the problem.
Okay. So Hitler is evil.